The Arizona Cardinals aren't favored in a single game in 2026. They don't have a starting caliber quarterback, but one thing they do have, playmakers. Playmakers aplenty, and one big-time publication says they got a top 10 unit, Johnny.
Plus, Bo and I... There we go. Plus, Bo and I react to Dave Pasch, longtime play-by-play man, stepping away. What does that signify? What's his legacy in the desert? And where do the Cardinals go from here? PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Welcome Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier, number one in the world, Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. That's Bull Brock. We're repping Studio K today, as always. And, of course, no Noah today, fired. Maybe we'll rehire him at some point. We've got our ex-producer. She's gone on to bigger and better things. Emma is crushing it behind the Mac today. Bo, how we living?
We're living well. Yeah, we got Emma, who's making us sound and look even better than we actually are. And it's just been, we cut the baggage out with Noah. We wish him the best with his future endeavors. Maybe he might come back. He might have to grovel and beg and plead with Espo for his job back. But for now, we're in good hands. We're in good hands in front of this audience as well. I see people lighting up with their PHNX supporter emojis out there. Love to see it. What's going on? Burnt Marble, Shaft, Steven Jackson, Naheem. I see Ron. How about Cuff? We've got Jack in the chat. Snacks. Jacob. What's going on? So many great people ready to talk some cards ball. And you know what? For the first time in a long time, it's positive stuff. Very positive things being talked about with this Cardinals team, Johnny.
Yeah, it's, people ask for it. And listen, we try to be organically positive. I think Bo and I are pretty positive people. And we've been overwhelmingly positive for about 2.5 years. And then this season happened, and then this offseason happened. And it tests your patience and it tests your will. And we're very much an extension of you, the audience. And so we're never going to sit up here and fake it, right? Like we're not influencers going to a big movie premiere to sell you something that doesn't, ring true. Like you guys can see the product with your eyes. We're not telling you anything you don't know as it relates to where this team is at currently. But one common denominator that Bo and I have been especially, pro with this team is the fact that they have a lot of talent, especially on the offensive side. And it's nice to see that reflected finally. And it also is a big reason why we're going to get into this. We think this team is going to win more games than they're supposed to this year, or certainly what Vegas thinks with the over-under is 4.5. Like, we're going to go through this list. ESPN, I'll jump right into it, broke down the top skilled player units in the NFL. And the Arizona Cardinals, shockingly, ranked 6th overall. Now, full transparency, as I was going through this list this morning, and they go through all 32 teams that does ESPN, I expected the Cardinals, just because of the publication, to be in the 20s. Miami Dolphins are last. Thanks, Malik Willis. They're 32nd. And I was like clutching my teeth. I was gritting my teeth. And I was just like, I know they're going to be at like 23rd. Right. And they're going to say some dumb stuff about Marv. And they're going to throw disrespect at Jeremiyah Love. And I just kept going down. And I'm like, oh, they're not in the 20s. And then I'm like, they're in the front half of the top 16. I kept going down. And then I'm like, are they in the top 10? And they are. And so before we break down like the top 10, I do want to touch on a little bit of some of these other teams that are outside the top 10, but just your reflection on the fact that this team's finally getting some love.
Yeah, I think it's kind of on par with what we believed and why we thought that this team should maybe aggressively pursue a quarterback this offseason. I like what they did. Like, if you got the right kind of trigger man, he could go out there and just kind of distribute the football
Yeah.
to this large collection of playmakers that were already in place before Jeremiyah Love. You add that, and it kind of pushes you over the top. Sure, the offensive line remains a little bit of an unknown, but like you've got 4 out of the 5 that I think you feel comfortable with. Like
Yeah.
3 you actually feel really comfortable with. But like, yeah, this is what I believe in. It hardly ever matches where, the prognosticators, the analysts from like ESPN and the national publications usually put them. So getting their flowers, getting the respect, and with an elevated play caller in there and Michael LaFluer, like this is why we think that they're not going to be a winless team and why we think that they probably aren't going to be in the true conversation for the top pick in the draft. Not to say that they're going to be in the playoff conversation either, but like they should be competitive and they should, at least on the offensive side of the football, incite fear in defensive play callers' hearts.
It's an offensive league, and they've got people are going to roll their eyes. They've got a young, hotshot, energetic coach who's going to call plays. Right, first time since Cliff Kingsbury, but really, when you watch Mike LaFluer operate, he's much more, I would say, hands-on than Cliff was.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a bunch of good skill players. I mean, like, I'm just run through the back half of the first.
Okay.
Dolphins last, Giants 31st, Cardinals play the Giants, Browns 30th, Bills 29, Panthers 28, Washington 27, they play Washington, Vegas 26, they play Vegas, Titans 25, Texans 24. This is like where I thought the Cardinals would be. Broncos, they play the Broncos 23, Tampa 22, Pittsburgh 21, and Kansas City, they play Kansas City 20th. So like, again, it's great. Let's see the top 10 now officially, Emma. Like the Cardinals are ahead of the Dallas Cowboys. No way did I think that would happen. The Cardinals are ahead of Philadelphia, even without A.J. Brown. I thought they'd slobber all over Philly. The Cardinals are only behind the following teams. Detroit, I think you and I would both agree with that. Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra, Jahmyr Gibbs, Laporta, flipping loaded, right? Rams have Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, a couple really good tight ends, like B+ tight ends, and they've got a 1,000-yard rusher in Williams. Atlanta, absolutely loaded, multiple receivers, Kyle Pitts now, and then Bijan. San Francisco at 5 is a tough sell for me. Like, I'm not going to push back on where the Cardinals are at. I think it's a gift. Niners with old Mike Evans, with old Kittle, with old McCaffrey. Those guys, Kittle and Mike Evans are 32, and McCaffrey's 30 years old. I would put the Cardinals firmly above San Francisco, but like would I put the Cardinals ahead of Dallas? Like, I don't know if I would do that. Like, Javonte,
I think the run game, I think is the kind of the difference maker there. Like, sure, if you're going like wide receivers, you probably go with Dallas because they've got CD and they've got George Pickens and obviously like their tight end is no slouch in Ferguson.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, looking at this list, I might even put the Cardinals a little bit higher. I mean, it's like San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey is carrying a huge load there. I mean, as far as this goes, because Kittle's coming back from injury, and those receivers. I mean, you got Brandon Ayuk. He's selling tickets for the Commanders on his social media pages right now. He's not going to be coming back through those doors. So it's the elder statesman there. It's Christian Kirk. It's Mike Evans, as you mentioned, and then some draft picks that they've invested that they need to develop. But I mean, this is good company to keep. Like, I know the Lions are a 4th place team, but they were a 9-8 4th place team. They've got a good collection. They've been in the playoffs the last 2 years, like been to the playoffs within the last 2 years. The Rams are a Super Bowl contender. Like the Bengals defense, if they weren't carried down, like they're always a top 10 offense. Like, this is great company to keep that the Cardinals are kind of sandwiched in between here. And one thing I want to kind of point out here, Johnny, for the Cardinals fan base, right? And you know this to be true. And we could take this off the screen if we want. When Kyler Murray exited this organization, and I am a huge Kyler Murray supporter. I want nothing but the best for K1 in Minnesota. And they started to do those things that social media always does and says, look at what the playmakers that Kyler Murray is going to play with in Minnesota. And I looked at them. I was like, that's not any better than he had in Arizona. Like, he had Trey McBride. He had Michael Wilson. He had Marvin Harrison Jr. He had James Conner, who had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage 4 consecutive years before his injury, and would have had Jeremiyah Love. Like, the Cardinals have better playmakers than the Vikings. So what is that supposed to inspire something? Like, things are going to be completely different from that aspect for K1. Like, the difference should be KOC calling the plays for him,
right,
more than anything.
The Cardinals wisely, we knew they were going to, well, maybe we didn't know. We felt like they should hire an offensive coach. Not just because you're going to go, yin yang again, where you go from Arians to Wilkes, offense to defense, and you go to offense with Cliff. And
great stuff from our.
And then we go from offense with Cliff, and then you come back and you go defense with Gannon, and then now you go back with Mike LaFluer. For me, it's like, it comes down to this. We feel like Drew Petzing did this franchise a disservice given the weapons that they had, including Kyler Murray.
Right.
And Kevin O'Connell is going to prove that, I believe, this year to some extent. Okay. What you've essentially done is you've done the opposite of the Gannon approach, which was admirable. And I will die on this hill for Jonathan Gannon, who we're a supporter of. Gannon said, put the resources in the offense, give me C to D+ level players defensively, especially my first year. No disrespect to what they trotted out. And he said, let Nick and I take the brunt of this, and then we'll add defense later, get the offense right. And what did they do? Paris, Marv, Michael Wilson, they threw a lot at the offense, right? They already had Trey McBride. Mm-hmm. They brought in Yelda Froldholt. They drafted a bunch. They drafted it back. They just added another one. The Cardinals tried something and it failed because Jonathan Gannon got fired largely because he wouldn't pivot off an offensive coordinator that got him fired. Like, somebody texted me today and was like, what if Gannon had Mike LaFluer? I think he'd probably still be employed. Like, what if he had fired Drew Petzing and hired Mike LaFluer? But now what is Mike LaFluer and the Cardinals doing? What's their strategy? Their best unit on their team is going to be coached by their head coach. That like, if I'm going to go down swinging,
right,
that's what I want. And this reflects that. I don't want Mike LaFluer out there with a bunch of D and C players, right, and then just say, hey, Nick Rallis, you have all the best players. Like, no, it's lean into your head coach's strength. The Vikings do that. San Francisco a lot of the time does that. So I look at this and I'm like, this is what should give you hope as a Cardinal fan, not for just the future, but this season. If they can just get game management level play from their quarterback, these skill players, and ESPN even says, like, Jeremiyah Love could be the best running back in the NFL. Trey McBride is the best tight end. Michael Wilson just had 1,000 yards. Marv is he's a complete unknown right now.
Right.
I mean, it all starts to piece together, and you understand kind of hopefully what they're thinking.
Yeah. No, like, you hope that Marv is a sleeping giant, right? I mean, and he's got to stack good games together in order to prove a lot of people wrong. And we'll get into that a little bit. I thought Albert Breer had something interesting to say. We'll get into that later in the show. But, you're right. I mean, it creates an identity for your team, which you didn't necessarily had. You had an identity crisis last year, full-blown one that turned into a catastrophic season that led to a lot of people being fired and exiting the organization and creating more questions than answers, which shouldn't be the scenario 3 years into a rebuild. But it creates an identity, and it has the makings of creating a strength.
Yeah.
What's your strength of your team? The offense, no doubt about it. How are you going to game plan for all of these playmakers? You want to try to take away Trey McBride? Well, you picked that poison incorrectly. We've got these two guys on the outside, and Marv and Michael Wilson, or we're gonna ground and pound you with Jeremiyah Love in our collection of running backs. Like, it should create mismatches in the ability to really kind of take advantage from a game planning standpoint. But you got to be able to put yourself in that spot, and you also have to have the guy that's going to play point guard on that, who's going to be up to the occasion, right? Like, that's why I'm so upset about how they've gone about the quarterback position this offseason, where it's just like, yeah, you got these collection of playmakers. Who's going to be able to consistently get them the ball, especially in the big moments when the lights are the brightest? Because Like Brissett was given that opportunity. Sure, there were like the 6 blowouts, but there was also 5 games where, the Cardinals potentially could have won those games, and he didn't step up. He didn't get the ball into those playmakers. Instead, he's throwing deep to undrafted Xavier Weaver with less than 10 targets to his name on 4th and, 4? Like, what's going on here? And I know some of that goes into play calling, and there's a lot of different variables there, but like there is the makings of something that you could turn into special. But until then, it's just on paper.
I think Jeremiyah Love is quarterback proof. I think he's going to be a special player regardless of who's playing quarterback. And obviously, if you upgrade quarterback, that helps, right? But he'll get his. I feel like Trey McBride, because of how much he dominates underneath, that is secure. The wide receiver play, you just have to hope that once they inevitably pivot off of Jacoby, whenever that may be, and they go to Carson Beck, can Carson Beck and Mike LaFluer kind of meet in the middle of, we know we're starting this rookie, people have their expectations, but they also need to know he has limitations. Mm-hmm. But Mike LaFluer, being the offensive guru, play caller that he is, can he mix those things together?
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Wilson's going to be the number 1 receiver on this team, by all accounts, at least to begin the year. He is going to be your Puka Nacua. And then it's up to Marv. Can he fill the expectations of the Devontae Adams role, which may not be a bunch of robust numbers with regard to receiving yards, but can he get double-digit touchdowns? Mm-hmm. I mean, this unit, I mean, ESPN says it. They have the best running back depth in the NFL. Now, they said they expect James Conner to be traded before the start of the season. I think it's a coin flip between he and Trey Benson, although I'd probably lean James Conner being dealt because Trey Benson's cheaper. He was a draft pick of this GM, and he can play special teams. But, I mean, this is the biggest reason why we argued Jeremiyah Love in a down draft, in a bad draft, this is what he provides, where people immediately have to sit up and say, well, we laugh at the Cardinals and we don't take them seriously, but we have to take Jeremiyah Love seriously. And, oh, by the way, they have Trey McBride. And they have probably the most slept-on 1,000-yard receiver in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is just make a strength even stronger. Don't start spreading out, allocating resources every which way, and then you show up on Sunday and you mention it, and you don't have an identity.
Right.
If your identity for the next 18 months is we stink on defense, we're turning that unit over, and we're firing our DC, so be it. But make sure the offense, it's by the end of the year, everybody knows that's a winning unit.
Yeah. And look, we've been kind of playing this scavenger hunt with the first-year play caller, head coach, and Michael LaFluer, and trying to piece together what his offense is going to be. And we've heard from some of the players. We've heard some defensive players, offensive players, the coach himself, and we've got an idea of what that is. But what it wasn't last year was playing to the strengths of that offense, calling the game to the strengths of the offense. Instead, we had the opposite. We had an alpha bird as they drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., 4th overall, who you utilized as a decoy.
Yeah. And
at best was used in 50-50 ball scenarios, as Benjamin Solak, very respectable NFL analyst, said, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s rookie season was played on high difficulty mode. And because of the play calling that he was provided. And that's gone. And what we've been able to piece together as far as Michael LaFluer is, it presents itself as this very complex offense to the defense with a lot of moving parts, but it's simplistic. And they're going to be masters of this offense that is supposed to create players getting open. Mm-hmm. And if you match that with elite talent, which ESPN, which is very reluctant to include the Cardinals in these lists this high up, is saying you have with McBride, Marv, and Jeremiyah Love and Michael Wilson. If you've got the scheme and you've got athletes like that running wide open, it shouldn't matter much who your quarterback is, but you should be, making an impact and see points tallied up on the board.
Yeah. Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously going to be a huge part, for better or worse, of this season, a huge talking point. The expectations, I mean, it's a make or break season. We're going to get an Albert Breer's comments. He was asked about Marv, his connections to Ohio State, and what the Cardinals think of Marv's first 2 years. That's coming up. Hit the like. It's PHNX. I'll tell you what, I just looked at my most recent air bill for last month, right? For the month of May, and I was expecting the worst, but when I got locked in with APS budget billing, it changed my budgeting plan for the course of not only the summer, for the 12-month calendar year. If you're not hooked up with APS and their budget billing program, get on that scene and get away from those robust summer air bills, because when APS customers sign up for budget billing, your payment is averaged out over the course of the full year. So you just pay about the same for your energy bill every single month. That gives you a more predictable payment, helping you plan and save, Bo. Again, right now, budget billing can be looked up at aps.com/let's talk. That's aps.com/let's talk. And also check out one of their many smart thermostats, another great way to help keep you cool and save you money in these hot summer months in AZ, Bo.
Yeah, and look, break out the rocks glasses, get the Don Julio 1942 on ice, and chill down for tonight. Another United States men's national team match going down. If you're not at our watch party, hopefully you're raising your Don Julio 1942 at home, because there's plenty to celebrate. Sure, this match doesn't mean a whole lot to old red, white, and blue, but they're just kind of maneuvering for the next round. And the biggest sporting event world comes to our backyard. Celebrate with the icon of celebrations, Don Julio 1942, the original bottle, the special trophy edition, which is legit. And even those many iconic moments, you got the minis. Gotta love it. Don Julio 1942, a bottle for really any moment. Whether you're at your favorite watch party with PHNX or you're stocking up for the next match at home, make it a Don Julio 1942. And as always, celebrate and raise your glass responsibly.
Do us a favor, hit that like button. Let's get this show up today to 250 likes on a sleepy little Thursday in the NFL offseason. We're going to be at training camp less than a month from now, and on display will be year 3 player. He's right behind me, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right.
And, we've seen Albert Breer. We see him all the time. We talked to him at the Combine. We talked to him at Super Bowl. He comes to training camp every year, and he's a supporter of the Cardinals. He knows Monti. He respects Monti, and obviously has that pipeline, that connection, being an Ohio State graduate. So when asked about Marvin Harrison Jr., Bo, and his trajectory, Bo, I thought his comments were interesting today.
Yeah, they were. You and I were fortunate enough to catch up with Breer, and I think this is kind of when he got this intel.
Yeah.
And he gave us some insight as far as who Marv was during his Ohio State days. He's an alum, I believe, of the Buckeyes, and is very tapped in there, and had kind of information from all areas regarding Marv, including this, what we got from Breer, which was this on his podcast, or was this on his, said, I'll be honest with everybody here. I'm surprised by the results. I thought Marvin Harrison was going to come into and be a dominant player pretty quickly in the NFL. I do think that if you look at the history of it, and this is really interesting, somebody with the Cardinals brought this up to me last year. Bigger receivers take a little longer to translate to the NFL because they have to do a bit more to get open at the NFL level. So that was via Breer there. He goes on. There's a little less space for them to be physically dominant the way that they were in college. Whereas when you're one of these faster guys, they drafted at the top of the first round, being able to run by people, that doesn't really change. The windows might be smaller, but there's not much of an adjustment for a player like that coming into the NFL.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And I think hopefully his career resembles more Devontae Adams, somebody we just talked about, where he had a couple really slow starts and then he took off with Green Bay, but he was a 2nd round pick out of Fresno. And coincidentally, he had a lot of drops early in his career. The expectation for Marv, though, is, and this is where I'll push back just a little bit, is Julio Jones was a big guy. He didn't have any issue producing year 1, getting open. And I would almost even argue Marv's problem is not getting open. I think it's contested catches. I think it's maybe too much body catching. I think a big part of it was lack of trust in the play caller, respecting what the offense they were running right. And so I think a lot of things can be true, but at the same time, it's the excuses are done. I mean, and again, I don't know what kind of quarterback play Marv's going to get this year. I hope it's great. Probably won't be. But to be the 4th overall pick, like the great receivers endure, right? Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Larry Fitzgerald, the guys that pop at the position, they're that's why you take a receiver top 10. They're quarterback proof.
Right.
And so I don't know. The Cards have a lot of mouths to feed, and they don't have to be as overly reliant on Marv this year, thankfully, and they can let him settle into whatever role Mike LaFluer deems is most, equipped of his skill set. But I do think like this is it for Marv this year. And I expect if he plays 17 games, I expect good numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully he can just get back to being healthy. Like there was the brutal game against Seattle where he came back from just an awful first half where he was responsible for 2 turnovers and really them going down big in that game. To the mossing Devin Witherspoon in a pivotal play late in that game to put the Cardinals close.
Yeah.
And then you continued to see the inconsistencies after that. Dallas was like kind of this coming out party. There was the Weinfuss article about his dad and how his dad couldn't watch games. And then what does Marv do on Monday Night Football? He goes 7 catches, a career high, by the way, for 96 yards and makes, Bland fall down.
Put him in the dirt.
He roasted him. Yeah, he did. He put him in the dirt on a touchdown play where he made himself wide open. And then after that, like Seattle, that game was it was 35-0 before, in the second quarter, like that game was done and the entire team was like out. But you've got that Tampa game where I think he was starting to kind of find himself and then he suffers the heel injury. And I remember him trying to grit through it and he just couldn't. Like he was like the number 1 target for Brissett in that game and he just couldn't grit through it. He had like 6 catches for 69 yards in that game. And then that was it. Like he'd come back from the appendicitis and that was basically it for Marv, and he couldn't get healthy enough for the rest of the season. So like, can he get back on track? I think when people talk about his sophomore year here, it's a little unfair just because of the appendicitis, because of the injury that he suffered. He had a concussion in his homecoming in Indianapolis, and they unjustly ruled him out real quick there. I just think like we got to give him a little bit of grace, and there is a precedent for guys, as you mentioned, with Devontae, with Demaryius Thomas, with his dad, with all these big time receivers who want to have good careers. They popped in year 3. Like I agree, it's got to be this year. But at the same time, I'm not going to say, hey, like 2 years makes a player.
Yeah. And I see some people calling me a hater in the chat. Like I don't think anybody, even Marv, would admit like it's gone great. The expectation when you draft him was to be a transcendent player, 1,400 yards, double-digit touchdowns, right? And we thought like early in his rookie year, after that Buffalo game and then the Rams game, we thought, okay, this is going to happen. And it never clicked. Now, I think the biggest culprit of that is you had a defensive head coach and a very rigid OC. And I think Marv's confidence was shot. And fair or not, these are grown adults, but they're still kids at 21, 22 years old. Mm-hmm. We've seen Marv have his confidence shot. You saw it in front of his locker where the team needs to embrace Marv. And certain players need to be coached a certain way. The Cardinals aren't good enough to not have Marvin Harrison Jr. not be a productive player for them this year. I mean, it partially derailed the last 2 years. And I mean, it's the perfect kind of encapsulation was, certain points during the season, like backup tight ends and backup running backs had more touches than Marv had, or more looks throughout the course of 3 or 4 quarters. Amari DiMercato would have more all-purpose yards than Marvin Harrison Jr. And it's just like something's off here. And it wasn't translating to wins. So yeah, I'm with you. Like, now here's what I will say. Like if he has 900 yards this year and 12 touchdowns, you still pick up his 5th-year option. You still say like, this is something we can build on. Mm-hmm. And Mike LaFluer obviously wants him in the offense. Now, do you pay him big money long-term? What does that say about like what's going to happen with Michael Wilson? I don't know. But I do think there are scenarios like where he, very similar to Kyle Pitts, where it's like maybe he doesn't ever become that quintessential top 8, top 10 receiver in the NFL, but he can still be impactful and be here for the long term.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he could use a hype man for sure. He's so soft spoken and more introverted than extroverted, which it would help to have somebody kind of gas you up. Kendrick Bourne could absolutely play that role. I know Michael Wilson does it in his own way, but like the last thing I'll say here about Marv is like LaFleur can do his best in scheming Marvin Harrison Jr. to find success. But what's really going to take him to the next level is those 50-50 balls. He's got to be able to find a way to come down with more of those, because when you see the big time receivers, when it's crunch time and Justin Jefferson's number is called, he goes up whether he's got one arm or two arms. He's coming down with the football. Like he needs to turn more of those 50-50 balls in his favor, where we just haven't seen that in the first 2 years. Like you can go to war for Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm one of those guys that absolutely will, but you just haven't seen him win. Like when we talked to Mina Kimes, we had her on that season during his rookie year, and like we were going into this fresh-faced and with all the hope in the world about who Marvin Harrison Jr. was. Is like 50-50 balls are more like 70-30. It hasn't turned out to be fact. Like that needs to resemble more of the truth than it has so far.
More conversation. Bo and I are going to break down the departure of Dave Pasch. Hit the like. It's PHNX. I'll tell you what, I'm so fired up to talk about One AZ Credit Union, largely because it's rooted in AZ, just like you. I was driving home just today, and I'm like, there's a One AZ Credit Union. There's a One AZ Credit Union. You talk about convenience. It's the one-stop shop for financial coaching and document notarizing, Bo. So again, don't feel like you have to go 40, 50, 60 minutes to use an ATM. They have a ton of branches, 25 branches in total, and an online banking app to help you get your money when you need it. One AZ is rooted in AZ, and they're a part of the community, by the way. 75 years of dedicated service in AZ, and they're going to hook you up right now for a limited time only. Open up a new checking account and complete qualifying activities, Bo, to earn $350 in a new member bonus. Again, $350. All you got to do, hammer the promo code CHK-358. That's code CHK-358 for a chance to get that $350 automatically in your checking account. Brand new. Terms and conditions apply. What you got to do is visit 1azcu.com for all the details. Again, 75 years. What are you waiting for? It's One AZ Credit Union.
If you are buying or selling your home here in Arizona, there's one name you need to know, and it's Kim Caballero. That's right. Kim's been working in Arizona, the business world, for over 25 years, and she's helping Arizona families navigate the biggest decision they're going to make in their lives. And what I love about Kim is you're not just getting passed around to a random assistant or another agent. When you work with Kim, you're the priority every step of the way, and that's so important, making those decisions, buying or selling your home. She's got connections. Her network, it's really unmatched in the Valley. Investors, you've got builders, developers. She can help you spot opportunities that other buyers and sellers might just miss completely. Don't let that happen to you, and work with Kim. She's got proven strategies to help you secure the best possible deal. Kim and her husband have called Arizona home for over 25 years. She was at a draft party. She loves the Cardinals, even with the tough spot they've been in. She truly understands the Valley and what matters most when choosing a home. Call Kim Caballero today. 480-489-5012. That's 480-489-5012. Tell her Bo and Johnny from PHNX Cardinals sent you.
Hit that like button. A little bit of change of pace here, Bo, as today it was, I think, a shock to at least Cardinal fans. Longtime play-by-play man Dave Pasch, who's been on the national scene for forever, is leaving the Arizona Cardinals play-by-play duties after 24 years, as he's making, it seems like, a larger commitment to ESPN.
We got no quarterback. We got no play-by-play guy. Our mascot's head's falling off, probably. It's a mess. We can't have any nice things. Like Dave Pasch was probably the most consistent thing about this organization for 24 years. And like, that's a testament to Pasch. Like, that's an indictment on the organization, but a true testament. One of the true pros in the business. I was always proud, like when I would turn on the NBA on ESPN, he would be doing the game with Bill Walton, or he would be doing the game with some legitimate, color man. And it was just like, that's our guy. And now we don't even have that any longer. It's we wish Dave Pasch the best. We never had any type of relationship outside of, before I got into this crazy business, just like everybody else, listening to him on Sundays on the, Cardinals flagship. And he was a part of so many iconic calls for this team.
I don't want to turn this into bashing the Cardinals segment.
Right.
I would rather just praising Dave Pasch. But here's what I will say. Like, how long have you been covering the team, like, on and off? Like 10 years?
Yeah.
12 years? I've covered the team for this company for 6 years, and I've covered the team externally for 3-4 years before that. The Cardinal players are the stars, right? Rightfully so. Those are the stars. Those are the people you see on the street. You would gasp if you saw Trey or Marv or Buda Baker, whatever. Dave Pasch, to me, was that kind of figure for the organization where it's like, you use the word legitimacy. I think that's the word of the day when it comes to Dave. It was like, you saw him calling Cardinal games, and then he would call premium college football games, and then also premium NBA games. And then he would just be the Cardinals color man. And he worked his way up. And I think, and maybe it was Darren Urban who posted on Twitter that said, like, it's felt like, I don't know if it was a long time coming. I'm trying to paraphrase. Like, this could have happened sooner. So maybe Dave was doing right by the Cardinals, but it would have been very easy for Dave. Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Bruce Arians leaves, and Dave Pasch is like, see ya, Cardinals, I'm leaving too. So I think it shows his loyalty to this franchise. I'm sure he was well compensated, but like, and he said he's also going to make, Phoenix, continue to make Phoenix his home. But like, Dave Pasch is a star. And when you would see him around, like when we would go to training camp and he would be around, it's just like, they're very fortunate to have him. And obviously they treated him well because he stayed this long. This is a huge loss for the franchise. And I don't want to speculate as to who could take this job. This is a very public job. And I mean, you're not going to be able to fill Dave's shoes immediately. But for me, it's like, number one, praising Dave is important, and understanding why he left. Like, we support that. On the back end, it's like, it's going to give more fuel to the fire. The people just like, I saw people on Twitter like, oh, he didn't want to be associated with the Cardinals anymore. I'm like, I think that's a stretch, guys.
Yeah. Like, after a quarter of a century, he was just like, I've had it.
Right.
I'm not calling any more Jacoby Brissett games. But no, I mean, and I mean this in the best way. Like, I can hear him, yelling, exclaiming Larry Fitzgerald's name, and it sounds like 19 syllables, and it's just unbelievable. Like him, running to the end zone and the go-ahead score in the Super Bowl. His iconic calls in the NFC Championship game, that run in 2015. Like, Dave Pasch has been there every step of the way. I feel like he's been there every step of the way that I've been following this team, and like, it's depending on which direction they go with this hire, it's like they're going to be down one of their star players. Like, the one thing you could rely upon was that they had an all-star in the radio booth, and anytime you would hear audio highlights from this team, like they were up to snuff. Like, Dave Pasch was the truest pro you could get at that. Like, when I think about the ESPN stable of play-by-play guys, like, Dave Pasch is underrated as they come. Like, Joe Testator got like a Monday Night Football gig before Dave Pasch. McDonough got a run at Monday Night Football. Like, Dave Pasch would thrive in a spot like that because he did it so well with Wolf here locally. He did it with Walton on the national stage. He played the ultimate straight man and did it like he didn't take the life or overstate these big moments. Like, he just has an excellent pulse for it, and it's just unfortunate. Like, I don't know who they'll get in. Hopefully, but it's big shoes to fill, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I would love to see them go and get somebody with a following, with cachet, national guy. I think, I mean, like what they've done or tried to do with AQ Shipley. Like, he was a local player, yes, that people knew, but he was on Pat McAfee, and I thought he settled nicely into that role last year. They have to take that same approach and look for somebody. I mean, maybe that's up and coming, but somebody that has an audience and clearly has a voice that resonates with people. It just feels like we've gone through a lot of change lately with this franchise, but I think this offseason kind of encapsulates it. Like Gannon was fired. He was only here for 3 years, but you felt his presence here. Kyler Murray is gone, as we've chronicled, for the first time in 7-8 seasons. He's out of the building, and now Dave Pasch is leaving. We're going to have Larry's Hall of Fame enshrinement here in about 6 weeks. This is likely going to be the last year, we assume, for guys like Budda Baker. James Conner could be in the final weeks with the team. And you feel the transition here, and like what they can't have happen because they're losing or they've lost so many high-level people is you can't then sink further into despair or national relevancy, right? You need to pick yourself up and say, okay, this is an opportunity to reestablish ourselves on the national stage, national brand. We got a new color guy as of last year. We got a new play-by-play guy. We got a new young hotshot offensive head coach. We got a new star running back. Like the Cardinals need a facelift. They can't go further down because like Pasch gave them legitimacy that they now don't have on that side.
No doubt about it. Like he was NFL caliber. Like what can you point to and say definitively that's up to snuff across the league? Pasch was that in the booth. You hope that's what you have with Michael LaFluer. I mean, I liked the video that the team put out today. You sent that to me. I ate up all 8-9 minutes of it. It was fantastic. It showed, the energy that LaFluer could bring. Like the one thing I think that they could maybe improve on with Pasch's exit is somebody more involved in the Cardinals community because of Pasch's other roles. Like he couldn't entrench himself. Like of course he was the voice of the Cardinals. And there was no doubt about that. But can you get somebody that like AQ can endear himself to this community beyond the broadcast booth? I think that would be good. And that would be a plus in the wake of losing such a pro like Pasch. But at the same time, you need to get somebody that is NFL caliber in that booth that's going to be able to kind of be the successor to Pasch, which I said is huge shoes to fill.
Fair or not, this is a team that has been at the bottom, and we take these things seriously. The NFLPA grades, the last couple of years, they were 32nd last year. This past year, they were 31st. And then you've got, how can we forget the infamous now schedule release AI video that got torn to shreds. So it's like, it's not just the losing on the field on Sundays. It's this fan base kind of takes it, throughout the course of the offseason. And Dave always represented excellence for Cardinal fans. That's why it's tough, because you would like to be in a position. And again, people might think I'm reaching here. This is just how much we consume this team. Like you would like to be in a position where it's like Dave's going on and he's doing national. He graduates. Now the Cardinals are going to get the first pick of the, top young broadcaster draft. Right. And as we saw, maybe not, as we saw with the coaching search, and this is on a much different scale. I get that. Walk with me here. They were the last team to hire a coach. So I'm sure Dave would give a glowing recommendation of the franchise, publicly and privately, but I don't know. I don't want it to be an underwhelming hire. I want it to carry the same kind of weight and gravitas. You mentioned Wolfley. That was a dynamic partnership for over 20 years. And now that's gone completely.
Yeah.
And so they have big shoes to fill, and this franchise that can't afford to take any more losses. I mean, it's can they check this box here in the intermediate?
There's just so many hires or acquisitions and maneuvering around their entire roster, beyond the players that you don't know about. It's the unknown, and this is just going to be another one of them. Not only are we going to tune in for the Chargers game and before that, but mostly week one, how's LaFluer going to do? How's Jeremiyah Love? How's QB1 going to do? Whoever it may be, and how's the new play-by-play guy going to sound? Is it going to rival? Is it going to be is it going to be able to tap into the excellence that you got for 24 years under Pasch? Are you going to be able to get that without missing a beat? Odds are probably not, but you want somebody that's going to be in that seat that is going to be able to at some point hold down that role just as well as Pasch did. It's going to be tough.
It is. I mean, I think it's unrealistic to expect another Dave Pasch in the intermediate. I think you make a really good point about find somebody who can be a little bit more present. I mean, Dave had so many other responsibilities because he was so in demand. And like, you mentioned like Monday Night Football. Like, it would not surprise me if eventually he gets, as these seats start to rotate. I mean, we'll see what happens with Mike Tirico and some of these broadcasters. Does he get an opportunity to get on the national stage with certainly college football? He's already there, but the NFL, I think he deserves that. Yeah. And his commitment to the Cardinals has always prevented him. Like, is he a broadcaster just on the national stage on Sundays on NFL games? They've got how many broadcast crews? So I know it says he's making a commitment to ESPN. So maybe it's much more college and NFL or NBA. I know, ESPN signed that huge NBA deal that they got to make good on. So yeah, it's a bummer. It was something that came out of nowhere, unexpected. In this franchise, I mean, you could look at it one of two ways. This is just them continuing to kind of lose a lot of what made them special for the early. I mean, you remember the early years of State Farm Stadium, University of Phoenix Stadium, Glendale. You can roll your eyes at this now, but like, they had juice, man. They had juice. They had cachet. There was an up and coming market. You had some really highs, and you never had the lows that you have now. And now we look back fondly. It's like, they didn't win a Super Bowl. They only won a couple division titles. But like, compare that where they are now. I mean, that's why this season is so pivotal, because you have to get off to a good start with Mike LaFluer, no matter what that looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I thought in the LaFluer video from the team, you can check out on their YouTube page.
It's a really good video.
Where LaFleur's, I think he's in his office and he's talking to Hackett, right? And he's saying the cool thing about this team specifically, especially during the offseason, like, as much as they get raked through the coals about their facility, these guys are at the facility all the time because people want to live here. People love the idea of living in Scottsdale, in Tempe, in Paradise Valley, in North Phoenix. And like, when you talk about an opening, whether it's GM or head coach or at quarterback or in the broadcast booth, it's one of 32, and you don't have to deal with the facility not being up to snuff just yet until the new one opens up with your play-by-play guy. Like, this should be an appealing job to come and be paid handsomely to do a game once a week, and then what other responsibilities come along with that, just because of where the team is located.
Yeah, 100%. But what this also can't be is, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, is this can't be just a wait and see approach until 2028.
Right.
Like, you can't.
Right.
If that was the case, if you were really just kind of waiting this out, competitiveness be damned, then you should have kept Jonathan Gannon and you would just roll this thing over. And like, you made a change at head coach. I think that's why so many people are skeptical of this year's, because, well, yeah, you got rid of Gannon, but you kept Monti, and you Jacoby Brissett still hanging around, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to make people feel like they can still consume this product. It's a consumable, worth it product to them before the new facility. Because like, you and I both agree, and I don't think we're overhyping it at all. The new facility is going to open in 2028. We've got somebody here in the comments here. Their spouse is working on it. They're part of the construction team.
I said anything, and I was any type of naysaying as far as that goes.
They're part of the planning committee. They said they're going to get this done, if not earlier. That's going to be a huge coup for them. It's going to change the way they get free agents and the perception of draft picks. It's going to be so well needed, and I'm so excited for that. But that's still 2 years away. Mm-hmm. Like, build something in the intermediate with Mike LaFluer and Jeremiyah Love and Trey and Michael Wilson and like, have a foundation so that when you're going into that facility, you're cooking with gas finally. Right. I mean, God forbid they find a quarterback before then. And then it's just like, look what we've done now. Can you imagine what we can do now? We got a fully even playing field. I just don't want this team to remain dormant until then.
No, urgency has to be preached and practiced, and has to be a part of the next couple seasons leading into 2028, because I think this fan base reached a breaking point not too long ago. I mean,
Yep.
they ate a big crap sandwich for far too long, since the team moved to the desert, and it's just they've endured a lot of losing, and they've endured this vicious circle where it's like they show a sign of life, but not consistently enough, and then they're back in the cellar again, to where you need to show like, hey, this new Cardinals that we're going to usher in along with this facility, but before then we're going to be trending in the right direction. We're gonna usher in a new era where we're gonna be, just way better than what we were before. Like that was unacceptable. There's new standards. There's a new bar set from top to bottom in this organization.
Yeah. Dave Pasch, we wish him well. Do you think he'll be at Fitz's Hall of Fame ceremony? I
would hope so. I mean, he was there the entirety of Fitz's career. Like every big play that Fitz made in his 17-year Hall of Fame career, like Pasch was the one that was behind the mic doing it.
If he's there and he's available, we will try to get him to do an interview stand-up with Bo and myself.
Yeah.
Whenever Noah decides to return back to work. So here's to 24 years of Dave Pasch, the voice of the Arizona Cardinals, and on to the next. We're back with your Super Chats right around the corner. It's PHNX. Man, I'm so fired up. The FIFA World Cup has been absolutely incredible. I've watched every second of it, and I've done it with a Michelob Ultra by my side. Michelob Ultra, the proud sponsor of the U.S. men's national soccer team. They're in the field of 32. I can't wait until they're locked in, and I'm locked in every match, every goal, every play with an ice-cold Michelob Ultra, the beer to match the moment, and the beer for me, keep it 100 under calories, that is. Michelob Ultra right now is brewed right here in America, and they've got that same grit as the U.S. men's team. Proud sponsor, Michelob Ultra, of the U.S. men's national soccer team and PHNX Cardinals, by the way, and the official beer sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Do me a favor, enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2026 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. Again, FIFA World Cup on full display. I'm going to keep it locked and loaded in my fridge all summer long, Bo.
I'm going to can't wait to crack a couple cold ones tonight for the match. I know our friends over at the PHNX watch party are doing so as well. Look, it's hot. It's hot as hell out there. And a nice ice cold Michelob sounds great. But that you've spent the summer in Arizona. Heat isn't going anywhere. It's here to stay for the next couple months. And if your windows are old, they're probably costing your money every month and letting the heat and making your AC work overtime. Don't let that happen. Upgrade your windows. Don't have the Jacoby Brissett of windows out there. Get something that's going to help save you money, and that energy bill for your home will be more comfortable immediately. Check it out. That's why you've got to check out the Window Depot. They got the biggest inventory, best prices, and they'll beat any competitor's price, guaranteed. Plus, their windows are proudly made right here in Arizona. You love that. Options from trusted brands like Pella, Milgard, along with custom orders. If you need something more specific, they're way more than a window store as well. Sure, they're the Window Depot, but their doors, cabinets, countertops, you name it, they've got it. Shop online, pick up in-store, and stop in one of their 8 Arizona locations, including that brand new surprise location. It's got that brand new store smell. The Window Depot, thewindowdepot.com. Today, get your next home project started right away. Johnny had to step out. I'm just going to roll solo to get into your super chats. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Hit that like button. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Let's get to 250 likes if we could on this Thursday night. Look, 90 minutes to go before kickoff there. Our PHNX crew is out. Tempe area. World Cup watch parties continue. This time, Phillies on Warner. Go check it out. 4855 East Warner Road. We got drink specials going on for the match. Join our squad. $4 Mick Ultras, $6 Neutrals, $6 Stellas. Don't miss out. Check out all the information. There it is. Yeah, you got turkey. Of course, the knockout round coming out. We will tell you the, of course, destination of our knockout round watch parties for both Mexico and U.S. as soon as we have those available. Big thanks to our friends over at Buchanan's Casamigos, Don Julio, and Michelob Ultra, official FIFA World Cup 2026 supporters out there. But still time. If you're looking for somewhere to watch the game, join the PHNX crew. I can't wait for it as well. Let's get into these super chats. I thought that was a great conversation about Pasch. I saw you guys drop in a couple of your own suggestions. Yeah, we'll see which direction they go. There wasn't a whole lot of like rumblings before they made the hiring of AQ Shipley as Wolf's successor last year. So I'd expect this one to be just equally as close to the vest, and then they make some big announcement before the start of the season. Jack kicking us off with the super chats. He's got a cool profile pic there of Noah, I believe, holding some sort of reptile. Thoughts on the Terrion Arnold situation? Man, I mean, we talk about Drew Petzing in Detroit, how big of an issue that's going to be. They got bigger issues, including their first-round cornerback facing 8 felony charges, 4 counts kidnapping and 4 counts armed robbery, and like not to be taken lightly. And who knows, with all those allegations surrounding Arnold, like his career could be in jeopardy. Very young, and career that should be a successful one is now going to be put on pause as he deals with all of this, and nothing should be discounted there. So yeah, horrible situation. And you're hoping that what's alleged is somewhat not true. And if it is, Terrion Arnold can find the help that he needs. Just ridiculous to think that a starting cornerback in this league put himself in that situation. Keeping it going. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. How about Junder Hill? If Beck can just be fine and Rollis gets back to his 2024 level, we can steal some games. Yeah, very possible. I was doing a breakdown. You can find it. Go phnx.com. I'm predicting the Cardinals 53-man roster, and I started with the defense and the special teams, and you can go look at it. I had, emphasized the linebacking core and focused on Mack Wilson. And when Mack Wilson was healthy, this defense is surrendered just under 24 points per game, which is like middle of the road. That's not like, the Ravens of 2012. It's not, the steel curtain of Pittsburgh. But at the same time, like it was a good enough defense to win football games when your offense was playing complementary football. But when Mack Wilson was out of the lineup, the defense surrendered over 35 points per game. It was an absolute just hot knife through butter, unmitigated disaster. So like, can Mack Wilson be a steadying force? It's more than Mack Wilson. Can they generate the pressure up front? Can they get more production outside of Josh Sweat? There's so many factors that are going into this. And I think that Nick Rollis, even with the departure of Jonathan Gannon, who was the defensive guy, and the addition of Terrell Austin and Pete Kwiatkowski, who comes in as a veteran, grizzled 38-year coaching veteran for the defensive line. Like there's upgrades on that side of the football from a coaching standpoint to hopefully steady this ship. And I agree. Like if Beck can be that game manager, and we talk about, the playmakers, if he can just distribute and they can play a little bit of defense, no doubt about it. I don't think that there's any like case against them not surprising a couple of the teams on their schedule. So I agree with you, Junder Hill. Thank you for your super chat. Keeping it going. How about Gersh? What's up, Gersh? Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. No other sports needs the organization to be serious and the staff to be elite like football. We have the players, but we still don't trust the organization. Sure. Yeah, I get that. Like there's always going to be skepticism as far as from up top, right? There's just been, since they moved to the Valley, people, you have to earn their trust. And the way you have to do, like you can start to kind of turn that tide is winning football games and doing it consistently. It's not going to be like an outlier like 2021. They end the playoff drought, but they go in and get their doors blown off, and then they go back into futility for the next 4 seasons. You got to find consistent winning and showing that, like, if you're stepping away from the football operations outside of holding the title of president, that you're letting the football people do that and that you've picked the right people. So, like, Bidwill, does he have the right people in place? We'll see. I know there's skepticism about Monty, but there's a lot of hope with LaFluer. Can LaFluer be a part of the change there? That's going to be so important. Keeping it going. How about Damon Cat's back? Meow. Great to have you back in the fold, Damon Cat. Go get yourself some milk and go play with I don't know, some string or something like that. Maybe you got like a feather, something you can play with. Jenga Man jumping in. MHJ had to go to war with a clown at the helm, aka Putz, aka Petzing. Yeah, that's it was tough. It was not an offense that was setting up Marvin Harrison Jr. for success. And we'll see if, a new offensive voice, a brand new revamped offensive play calling staff, not just LaFluer, but, Hackett in the fold, who was also, along with working with good quarterbacks, developing them, also helped develop a lot of good young wide receivers. And then Matt Schaub, who had a 17-plus NFL season with a couple Pro Bowls on his resume. Should be a good brain trust there to help unlock somebody like Marvin Harrison Jr. Keeping it going here. How about this? Cuff. I vote Bo and JV as the new play-by-play callers for the Cards. People have joked with us about that, but then we wouldn't be able to do the watch-alongs. We wouldn't be able to do the post-game podcasts. We just, it would throw a big wrench in what we do here that we love to do and be a part of this community. We wouldn't trade that in for a cushy play-by-play role, but I appreciate it, Cuff. That means a lot. Keeping it going. How about Mac Daddy? No Ron Wolfley, no Dave Pasch, no Larry, no D-Hop, no 93 Calais Campbell, no Bruce Arians, no Carson Palmer, no Kurt Warner, no K1. Boot is going to retire soon. Childhood completely gone, man. Yeah, man. You got a lot more of those moments coming your way, and you're expecting father now, from what I remember. And look, Wes, it's gonna have more eye-opening moments like that in your youth. It's way gone. But look, can you replace those with guys who can live up to the kind of titans of the past? That's what we're waiting for. So far, nobody has kind of taken the baton from any of the people you mentioned here. So that's going to be the big thing. Can they find the next wave of guys and get them in this building? It's a couple, big time draft picks they've invested in. Can they develop? Can they kind of take on that role as the new franchise faces of the franchise? There's certainly a changing of the guard that was abrupt in your face. And then there's been things like Pasch where guys just kind of slowly fade off, and it makes an impact on the organization from, a game day standpoint. Appreciate that, Mac Daddy. How about Top G? I saw your interview, Johnny, with the franchise guy on the Cardinals Deep Dive. Wow, where was my invite? I've been watching both of you since at least 2022. It was a nice crossover. I'll have to check that out. Johnny's always jumping on different shows here and there, and making great content elsewhere and spreading. I don't know if the gospel is the right word of the Cardinals, but giving it kind of a local standpoint of somebody who's close to the team and kind of set some of these national shows straight as far as what are the true expectations of this team, whereas the shortcomings and where can they be better in 2026. So I'll have to check that out. Appreciate that, Top. How about Keith Davis? JV for the new announcers. Can we get a live from State Farm Stadium? No, he's all ours. The Cardinals can't have him, but that would be elite. Maybe some sort of crossover, once we get to YouTube streaming games and stuff, once that moment comes. It's not here yet, but maybe. We appreciate that support, Keith. Bohausen with the scariest AI slop in the best way profile pick. Jesse Ventura and Mina Kimes. You forgot my SC last show. I don't know what that is.
Super
chat. There we go. Thank you, Emma. Yes. we did have that. We're not going to have it on the screen, but you're right. We did screen cap it so we wouldn't miss it. Danhausen is the king of dropping in super chats after the final whistle blows on our show. He's done it twice this week. Said, Bo, are you catching SmackDown on Friday? I'm passing on SmackDown. I'm going to continue my streak of never catching a SmackDown, and nothing changes. But enjoy it for all of us, Bohaus, and I appreciate it. Curse be damned. That's I don't know if I'm going to be watching scripted men in tights wrestling together. But we appreciate you, Bohaus, and we always appreciate your super chats. Hit that like button. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. It's been a banner show. Emma's been keeping us afloat, making us look and sound so well. We appreciate her pinch hitting today. It's good to have our former executive producer back on the show, even for a short time. Thank you, Emma. Johnny, he'll be back tomorrow. So will I with a fresh new episode. Make sure you're following along on Twitter, Instagram at PHNX_Cardinals. Believe we're good. Any Bohausen super chats at the buzzer? Doesn't look like it. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the match for the World Cup tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow. PHNX Cardinals.
We all silly like the mayor.